Let's talk about love. We've all felt it. It drives us, confuses us, and pretty much defines our lives. But what if I told you that behind all the poetry and the drama, there's actually a science to it, a kind of instruction manual? So today we're going to open up that user's guide to the science of love.
I mean, think about it. How can one single emotion feel like a crazy, exhilarating drug, but also like the safest place on Earth? And then, on top of that, feel like something you're building together? It's a lot, right? Well, that's the big question we're diving into. We're going to break down how love really works, from your brain chemistry all the way to your daily habits.
All right, first things first. We have to start at the source code. We're talking biology, what's physically happening inside your brain. Let's look at the powerful neurochemicals that basically turn our brains into command centers for connection. This is your brain on love. To help us make sense of this, we can look at the work of Dr. Helen Fisher, a biological anthropologist. She found that our brains have evolved 3 separate but connected systems for love. It all kicks off with lust, that raw initial drive. Then it shifts into attraction, which is when you zoom in and focus on one specific person. And finally, if things go well, it settles into attachment, that calm, secure feeling that can keep people together for the long haul.
And you know what? Each of these stages is powered by its own unique chemical cocktail. That first stage, lust, is all about the sex hormones, testosterone and estrogen. No surprise there. But attraction? That phase where you can't eat, can't sleep, can't stop thinking about them? That's a huge rush of dopamine and norepinephrine, the same chemicals that fire up the brain's reward center. It literally feels good to think about them. And that cozy long-term attachment bond? Well, that's thanks to oxytocin and vasopressin, often called the cuddle hormones. They're all about promoting that deep sense of bonding.
And this is where it gets really interesting for our day-to-day lives. All those feel-good chemicals released during intimacy, oxytocin, dopamine, they do more than just make us happy. They actively fight back against cortisol, which is our body's main stress hormone. So a healthy relationship isn't just good for your heart emotionally. It can lead to actual physical benefits, like a stronger immune system and better cardiovascular health. It's not just in your head, it's literally in your body.
Okay, so we've got the universal biology down. Now let's get personal. If chemistry is the what of love, our personal history is the why, as in why we love the way we do.
This brings us to something called attachment theory. The big idea here is that our earliest relationships, usually with our parents, create a kind of internal blueprint. This blueprint then sits in the back of our minds, shaping our expectations and how we act in our adult relationships. Everything from how we argue to how close we're comfortable getting.
And this blueprint has a huge impact. Research shows that it's basically a 50-50 split. About half of us develop what's called a secure attachment style, where we feel pretty comfortable with intimacy and trust our partners. But that means the other 50% of us develop an insecure style, which usually breaks down into 2 main types.
So on one hand, you have the anxious attachment style. People with this style often worry a lot about their partner leaving them and tend to need a lot of reassurance to feel safe. On the other hand, you have the avoidance style. These folks often see intimacy as a threat to their independence, so when things get too close, their instinct is to pull away and create distance. The first step to navigating this stuff is just figuring out which pattern sounds a little more like you.
So, we've got our chemistry and our personal blueprint. But what happens when 2 people actually get together and build a life? Well, this next idea is, I think, a really beautiful way to think about how great partners can help each other grow.
It's called the Michelangelo phenomenon. You know how Michelangelo said he saw an angel in the block of marble and just carved until he set it free? The idea here is that the best partners do the same thing. They see the ideal self inside of you, the person you dream of being, and they help chip away all the self-doubt and junk that's in the way, helping to bring out that best version of you.
Now the key here, and this is super important, is that it's not about changing your partner into who you want them to be. It's about helping them become the person they want to be. The relationship itself becomes this amazing engine for personal growth.
So how do you actually become a sculptor for your partner? It really boils down to 3 things. First, partner affirmation. You see their dreams and you cheer them on. Second, partner perception. You see the best in them, you hold on to that vision, especially when they can't see it themselves. And third, behavioral encouragement. You actually do things, big and small, that help them get closer to their goals. This is where love stops being just a feeling and becomes a creative project.
All right, now let's bring this all into the 21st century. What happens when we throw our modern, hyper-connected social media world into this very personal, very intimate process?
Research on self-disclosure, which is just a fancy term for sharing personal stuff, has uncovered something wild.
When we share personal things privately with our partner, just one-on-one, it boosts intimacy and makes us happier in the relationship. But get this, when we share that same information publicly, say in a big social media post for everyone to see, it's linked to a decrease in relationship satisfaction.
You can literally see the difference right here. The very same act that builds your bond in private seems to wear it down in public. And the thinking behind this is that private sharing creates this special, sacred space just for the two of you. But when you share it with the world, it kind of diffuses that magic and can make your partner feel like they're just another member of your audience.
So it really forces us to ask a tough question. Is the way we're all using our timelines actually hurting our real-life relationships? It's definitely something to think about, right?
So let's wrap this all up. What's the takeaway from our little user's guide? We've learned that love is chemistry. It's a biological drive. It's a blueprint, shaped by our past. It's growth, a creative project between two people. And it's connection, something that thrives in private, not necessarily in public. Knowing all this doesn't take away the magic. If anything, it gives us the tools to protect it.
And that really brings us to the final thought. Love isn't just a thing that happens to you, it's an active process. So now that you know a little more about the science, the chemistry, the psychology, and the connection, how are you going to go out there and sculpt your masterpiece?